now it is my pleasure to welcome into the studio Rabbi Brian Strauss and Melissa Rubenstein. And I'm very excited to have them on. They're very close family friends of mine. So it's a pleasure to have you on, and it's a pleasure to be sitting down with the two of you. So jumping into things, I just kind of wanted you to tell me about the two of you's relationship and how you teamed up to support this Beth Yeshurun and Bethel's Heavenly Hands Alliance. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, I will say anytime there's something in the community I need done, I know who to go to, and that's my friend Melissa. I've known Melissa a long time, went to college together, the University of Texas in Austin. And Melissa is that type of person who not only is great with people, but she wants to make a positive difference. And she cherishes the opportunity to match people with organizations, teens with organizations, and even synagogues with churches if it builds bridges and it allows people in the synagogue Jewish community to make and help and partner with people in other communities to enrich people's lives. So years ago, Melissa and I talked, and we first did a program here, a Building Bridge program, where we had, what was it, Bridges over?
Bridge to Diversity.
Bridge to Diversity, thank you. Where we had high school teens from Beth Yeshurun and high school teens from Bethel come together to learn about each other, to meet each other, get to know each other, to see they have a lot more in common and a lot more similarities and a lot of values and traditions and ideas that they share. So that was a really positive experience. It was about 5 years ago. This is before Hurricane Harvey.
And then the second outing would be 12 kids would each bring a friend, and we would just grow this community. And it was fantastic. It took off in a way we didn't think it would. There was this impromptu gospel choir. We had Channel 13 come and see it, and it was fun. The only goal that night was to be fun and to enjoy each other and to learn about each other. No helping with the homeless or weeding gardens or elderly or sick. It was just to have fun, and it was fantastic.
And out of that,
was.
Out of that fun that you guys had 5 years ago, sprouted service alliances with community service projects. So can you tell me a little bit about what happened with, I believe, with
Laura,
when
we did the recent drive for the Lake Charles.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Lake Charles.
That's right. You want to talk about that, Melissa?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having us. This is a
Yes.
fantastic
My pleasure.
show. And I want to just comment on my relationship with Rabbi Strauss is that when he became head rabbi, he said he was ready to take his congregation to the next level. And he really wanted people to get out there, but they needed help. And I said, well, I don't know if this is going to work. And he said, come on, you got to help me build this program. And he gave me every resource, every opportunity that I could possibly use to engage the community. And then knowing that everybody has a different taste, whether you're having food at a party, some people are vegetarian, some people don't want dairy. That's what he let me do. We worked with refugees. We didn't just work with homeless or the less fortunate. We worked with people who were cancer. We worked with grief community, people who have more money than he and I put together who were suffering through grief, through Bo's Place. We worked with adopted children, trying to get families who want to adopt children, trying to support people who have foster children that need that help. He let us create a menu of opportunities and then a congregation to go put a toe in the pool to try it. And what happened after this, I said, I don't know if this is going to work. It worked, and he supported it, and now we have waiting lists for people that signed up for projects. And it wouldn't have happened had he not wanted it and supported me to be able to create something that was just so diverse so everybody could kind of hone in on what matters to them.
The two of you are very powerful paired together, but at Beth Yeshurun there are a lot of people who are specialists in their fields, and that can actually be very helpful towards some of your goals. And I was talking to Rabbi Strauss about how with specifically some community projects with Star of Hope, we were able to help because with local foods, right? What was
Direct Hope.
Direct Hope, yes.
Right. I remember that. We did that. This was pre-COVID. You were there many times, Jordan. And thanks to Melissa, that was one of our partner organizations. And we had food from some local restaurant chains and grocery stores, and we were able to serve the homeless on several Sundays.
And the Direct Hope people were coordinating their food, and they lost the restaurant that they had to warm up their food, burned down. Well, one of the local restaurateurs, that was a congregation Beth Shern person, became their Sunday morning warming spot.
Yeah.
And that was just something that broke off from there. Another thing too is, like I said, when we were talking about the foster children or the grief, there are so many people within his congregation that have that higher education, that they are social workers, they are therapists. They may be retired, they may have a full practice, but want to do more. And what's so amazing about this congregation is that they have so many, like you said, specialists or educated people that can help, that can use their tools. They don't just have to box up food to help. They can actually use their skill set, their education, and their training to help others. But they wouldn't find out about these opportunities if Rabbi Strauss didn't have his social action program that he's so committed to.
And volunteering can be many things, whether it is actually, getting your hands dirty and going and doing the work, or if it is, using your resources that you have, like many people at Beth Yeshurun were able to do. So, part of what I want to talk about today is how there is, there's no label to what volunteering can be. It can be many different things. And I think if there's one thing that the combination between Bethel's Heavenly Hands and Beth Yeshurun working together, it really showed how diverse the opportunities can be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it was a coming here, we do nothing compared to what the incredible people here do. And we were here the day before Thanksgiving this past November, and then I got to come to that. I wasn't out of town during the Christmas holiday. We had a lot of members come on Christmas, but we were just a small drop in the bucket to the incredible people at Bethel, their volunteers, who served meals to thousands and thousands of families.
Yeah, I have this number down actually. They over the Thanksgiving, they served 2,500 Thanksgiving meals to those who were unable to purchase their own, which is a really impressive number.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it was an honor for us just to be here and help a little bit, and I think it was good for some of our members to come and see this is what's happening, a few miles away from our synagogue, and to just have a taste of what a church or a synagogue or a nonprofit can do to really make a difference.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And I'm trying to see what else I want to cover with you guys today. Well, I wanted to ask you, Rabbi Strauss, while we still have you, but since I was going to ask you, since you've taken over as the head rabbi, what did you do to make community service a priority, and what were some of the things that you did change?
We have a lot more to do. We're doing some nice things. We've done some stuff here. Melissa mentioned some of the things we're doing. We've been real involved helping raise money and goods and food and do some tutoring for kids and their families at Reynolds Elementary School, which has been a nice opportunity. We've helped some of our own members who are in need. COVID's kind of upended everything. Where it's hard, it's been more difficult to get people together because people are afraid to be together. That's starting to change. I'm cautiously optimistic we're at the end of this deal. So I'm hoping to kind of retool and restart some of the community service projects that have been on hold since the pandemic began, because I think people want to give back even more. I think they feel a sense of gratitude that they got through this. If they're still around, they're still got their
I know, I
intact.
definitely felt a sense of gratitude. Ever since I came to go help with the Thanksgiving meals, it was a super just humbling experience, and it was, I went back a few times afterwards. So
look, that's why the Jewish Church says we have to give, because not only is it the right thing to do, we're obligated to give our time, our money, our resources, but also we're enriched by it, we grow from it. And so I want to continue to give our members the place in which they can give back to those in need, for a whole host of reasons. I mean, it's the Jewish thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It also helps build bridges to other communities. It's a diverse city.
Yeah, and through this, tradition of giving, through this culture of giving, we've been able to collaborate and form really close bonds with other cultures and other religions. With Bethel's Heavenly Hands being a church, we've been able to form a really close bond with them through our morals of giving to other people.
Absolutely.
And giving to charity. So
for sure.
Yeah,
it's extremely
it shows
important.
that there really isn't that much of a difference after all.
No.
Between people.
100%.
I'm going to throw this in here. He's speaking spiritually what we're supposed to do, but I've seen this with my own petri dish with the congregants, and then I talked to a medical professional. I was talking about, why am I always high? Why am I high when I'm done with one of these projects? Why do I'm just so happy? He said, well, Melissa, that's your oxytocin release. They call it the helper's high.
Medical scientific reasoning right here. We've got Dr. Melissa
do not have
on
the
stage.
MD or the PhD, or I got nothing. I don't even think I took a class, but I know how to talk to the experts. And he said that helper's high is actually a chemical release, and we do experience a chemical release when we help others, and that is why I'm always high as a kite. But it's not just me, because every time I do these things with Rabbi Strauss's congregation, I am besieged by text. When can we go again? When's the next event?
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, there's a waiting list. You have to wait till well, sign me up. Can I cut in line? They enjoy it so much, and they wouldn't have ever done it on their own. But Rabbi Strauss set it up so that they could wade into the baby pool and try it, and then they're addicts.
And before Rabbi Strauss, I wanted to talk about this a little bit, but I have memories 5-6 years ago when we would go drive under the freeway, and we hand out we would gather bins of clothing, and we would hand them out to homeless individuals.
Me and you.
Yeah, me and you. And so I'm saying it didn't always start off as a huge kind of operation that we have at Beth Yeshurun. It started off as one thing, then you and Brian Strauss met, and using both of your resources, you created something much larger, and now you have these waiting lists of people waiting to get on every now and then. Every single week they're waiting to get on that waiting list to go volunteer. So it shows how powerful bringing these two different backgrounds together and these two different positions together shows that impact.
Absolutely.
They're intimidated. People are intimidated to go. They have the right intention. They're just intimidated. And Rabbi Strauss has shared with me some notes, been waiting for this all along. I've been wanting to do this. Thank you for giving me the path to go there. And they're intimidated. It's scary. But you drive somebody somewhere once, all of a sudden they know where to go. And that's what we have seen it happen again and again. They become repeat.
And families like it. I think it's a chance for them to bond together and
it truly is a bonding experience.
Yeah, it is. It's a positive thing all around.
It benefits everyone.
No doubt about it. And these are values that parents want their kids to have.
Well, thank you two for coming on. And next, it is my pleasure to introduce the head of Bethel's Heavenly Hands in the operation here, Pastor Lee. So it is great to have you on. And please tell me a little bit about Bethel's Heavenly Hands and how the organization came to be, and some recent projects that you guys have done at Bethel's Heavenly Hands.
Well, first, Jordan, thank you so much for having me here today. It's my honor and privilege to be able.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for letting me use the studio as well.
Absolutely welcome. Absolutely welcome. Well, Bethel's Heavenly Hands is an organization. Actually, it was founded in 2006, and we started in a strip center on Fondren. And the purpose of Bethel's Heavenly Hands is to fill the gaps, to meet the needs of the community, mainly with food, clothing, and shelter, just those essentials that a lot of people take for granted. There's a lot of people that just don't have those. And this, in our area, our Fondren Southwest area, being what's commonly referred to as a food desert.
Food desert,
yes. The food desert means there's less opportunity for nutritious foods because there's less grocery stores and outlets for people to be able to receive those or purchase those types of goods and types of food. There's less opportunity here, so that's a food desert. And we saw the need, and we just decided that it was a need that needed to be filled here in the community. But it was birthed actually from the heart of our senior pastor, Pastor Walter August Jr. Growing up without a lot of means, one of the things that he knew that he could the gap that he could fill was the gap of people not being able to have enough food to make it through and unto the next meal. So Bethel's Heavenly Hands was his brainchild and his heart to be able to serve the community. And we've gone from serving a couple hundred people a month to around 7,000 people a month.
It's very impressive. And to elaborate on that food desert term,
yes.
So a lot of these large grocery store corporations don't want to put grocery stores in these neighborhoods that are impoverished because they won't be able to pay for the high prices of their products. So it's really good what you guys are doing to bring a volunteer meal service, complimentary meal service to these neighbors.
Yeah, the profit margin is a lot smaller in these areas. So therefore, there's the easiest way, or the best way that I like to describe a food desert, like in some of the communities, you may have a Kroger next to an H-E-B, right next to a Randall's, all within a mile of each other. But in an area that's a food desert, you may have one grocery store within 3 miles as opposed to 3 grocery stores within 1 mile.
Yeah, so I mean, it is systematically.
Absolutely.
It is very systematic, and
Yes.
it works against these areas, and you guys chose to fight against that and to take a stand against that.
Absolutely. We literally saw the need and filled the need. And that was one of the largest needs here, to just be able to provide just something basic as nutritious food, because you can get fried food, you can get McDonald's, you can get all kinds of fast food.
The basic food groups
Yes,
are really important.
yes, they're absolutely important to be able to get balanced and nutritious food into the areas where they aren't. And kids that don't have balanced meals and kids that don't know where their next meals are coming from,
At a disadvantage.
they're at a severe disadvantage, not just economically, but also educationally as well. And of course, because of for health reasons as well, because we have seniors that are in these communities as well, and they suffer from, hypertension, diabetes, and these things. And if you don't have nutritious foods, all you're doing is perpetuating this poor health as well.
Our body can only handle so much fried food. That's artificial,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, even though it is really good sometimes.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, you can look at me until I eat a few fried things too, but I'm doing better.
Yeah, and so how does this operation work? So walk us through kind of the mechanism of Bethel's Heavenly Hands and how you go about distributing and sourcing the food and I'll get into a little bit, but Bethel's Heavenly Hands isn't just food. But tell us first a little bit about how they do the food distributing, where you source your food from, and how you go about distributing it to the individuals.
Well, our number one partner is the Houston Food Bank, and Houston Food Bank is the largest food bank in the country. And we're one of their larger partners here in the city of Houston. So we have a partnership with the Houston Food Bank, but we also partner with several local grocers and some local gardens. We've got neighborhood gardens that donate to us as well. So we receive all of the goods and all of the donated items. A lot of the stuff is close dated, but it's not expired. And so we bring this stuff in before it gets wasted. Another one of our partners is Second Serving. Second Serving goes and they rescue food.
Grade B food.
Yes.
So food that necessarily isn't, you wouldn't see it in a commercial because it's not gleaming, and there's, maybe there's some harmless bruises on that food, and there's some stuff on the food. It's still very edible, but it's not, it's the type of food that restaurants would serve and that you don't see.
Some of it is grade B food, and some of it is food that just hasn't sold. So when you go to the grocery store, and you'll see stuff when it gets close within 30 to 60 days of its expiration date, and it may not be able to be sold at a grocery store, but we can give it away at the pantry. So those are some of the ways that we source our food. Now, the way that we distribute every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. we're open. But on Wednesdays when we do our mass distribution, we start at 7:30 in the morning and we serve to about 11 to 12, depending on how many cars we have. And we usually serve between 300 to 600 cars every week. And it's one of the, how can I say it? It really does my heart good, and it's great to see so many people that not just have a need, but also are willing to help. So what we have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
How can people go about helping if they want to volunteer at Bethel's Heavenly Hands or any organization like it?
You can go to our website, which is bethelsheavenlyhands.org, and you can sign up to come and volunteer with us, and you can volunteer any of those days, the 5 days a week. You can also volunteer at the Houston Food Bank as well. They've got a volunteer site, and you can volunteer with us through the Houston Food Bank because they have off-site volunteering as well. So you can go to their website or you can go to our website, and you'll be able to volunteer. You'll come and you'll meet with me, and we'll find a place where you can kind of serve, whether it's putting food in the cars, packing the bags, or doing some of the other things that we do.
Yeah, for me, I showed up one day, and Miss Melissa told me to come, and I showed up, and I was put to work immediately. So for anyone who's intimidated about necessarily doesn't know where to start in terms of volunteering, it's very easy. All it is just going up to a website, seeing the dates you can go, and showing up and being put to work. And it is a very gratifying experience.
Absolutely, and I'm glad. I'm really appreciative that you guys came out. I think it was one of your youth group and maybe even some folks from your school that came out and they
Yes.
volunteered and served with us. And that's how we get a lot of our volunteers, is through word of mouth, because people really do want to help. Everyone has an innate desire to have their purpose fulfilled, and a lot of times the way we fulfill our purpose is by helping others. The most fulfilled it will ever be is when we're helping someone else as opposed to helping ourselves.
We're taught in a society, especially young people now, people that, it's expected that everyone goes to college, that's a high expectation of a lot of people, that you're supposed to go get a good job and get an education. So we're so focused on ourselves nowadays. A lot of us are focused on ourselves, but we don't realize that where we can really find meaning is helping others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm a living testimony of that.
You
I
are.
spent 31 years in government service, and then after retirement, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I was already working at the Church at Bethel's Family doing pastoral care as the pastoral care director. And then the person who was running the pantry, she decided that it was time to go home and raise her children. Her husband asked her to come home and be a stay-at-home mom. So I kind of filled that role. It was supposed to be temporary, and now I joke, but I'm kind of one of those jokes where you're really telling the truth. I tell Pastor that I'm going to die here, and that's probably what I'll do. I'll die here doing this because I just love serving.
Better
and
here
giving.
than somewhere else.
Well, yeah, we're going to die somewhere. So,
Yeah.
but here be the best place.
Yeah. Well, that was a really nice statement that you made there. And I want to talk a little bit more about some other services offered at Bethel's Heavenly Hands. Bethel's Heavenly Hands. It's not just food. It's anything that can improve our neighbors' in needs quality of living.
We've expanded a little, Bethel's Heavenly Hands. Now, we do have a clothing resale shop, and the clothing resale shop is for several reasons. One of the main reasons that it started was so we could sell gently used clothing in order to purchase the food. But it's grown to a point where I should say it has expanded to the point where we now have the clothing that we give to homeless people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because Bethel's Place, which is another one of our entities here at the Church of Bethel's Family, where there's job placement and there's resume writing services. So when you go through that program, you're going to need clothing for interviews. So we have a Dress for Success kind of program where once you get to the point where you have an interview, now you don't have an excuse. You're going to be able to have clothing.
Yeah, not only are you encouraging these individuals and not only are you helping them fill their immediate needs, immediate food, clothing, and shelter and whatnot, but you're also trying to change their situation. So you're trying to prepare them for career readiness and give a support system to those that necessarily don't have that support system.
Absolutely.
It's really an amazing thing.
We're trying to be well-rounded, and we're trying to make sure that we not only give a hand out, but we give a hand up. So, of course, there becomes a time in a lot of people, in most people's lives, where we're going to need some help in some area, some place in our life. And it may not be food or clothing, but for those that do, we're here for that. And then after we take care of that need and fill that gap, now we're going to try to make it so we can close the gap so that the intervals between gaps become smaller.
And it's really awesome that you're not only trying to fix that, but you're trying to cause change in the long term.
Absolutely.
Not change just for individuals, but for the entire system itself. Because, there is a lot of injustice going on in terms of, poverty in the U.S., and, a lot of people are at a disadvantage. It's a systematic disadvantage. So it's good that you're trying to change that system.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
in addition to providing people with their day-to-day just quality of living,
Absolutely.
helping with that.
Absolutely. That's our goal and our purpose, is to take people from where they are to help them to reach the potential that God has placed in each and every one of us.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's not so different from what Rabbi Strauss hopes to do too. I'm trying to show on this, while you are a pastor and Rabbi Strauss is a rabbi, Melissa she's a mother and she does communication work. But all three of you have that same goal of helping to just improve society through the service work that you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait for the podcast to come out.